This is my dual fragrance collection, and we're about to explore the most popular of the bunch. People collect everything from sneakers to trading cards to even taxidermy animals. But fragrance? Well, that's a totally different obsession, which is exactly why I had to put these fan favorite dual fragrances to the ultimate test. Starting with #Imagine. Now technically, this one dropped about 4 years ago, but every time this fragrance restocks, it sells out like a Beyonce concert. But the real question is, what makes this fragrance one people refuse to miss out on? And I think I got it. The price. Now, if you couldn't tell by the name, #Imagine is a recreation of Louis Vuitton's Imagination. And at $350, a lot of non-fragrance enthusiasts tend to think that Imagination is a little overpriced. But #Imagine getting something that has many of the same elements for a fraction of the price. Or better yet, just $300 less. Well, you don't have to #Imagine. Because this one opens with citrus, but not your fresh out of the shower citrus. This one's more like someone squeezed yuzu in your glass of San Pellegrino. But then the tea comes in. It feels clean and breezy, but there's still this coolness to it. And not for nothing, I had two people do a side-by-side between this and Imagination, and they both thought that #Imagine was crisper, fresher, and more potent than the OG. Now, moving on, we have Queen of the Chest, and this is Dua's take on Mind Game's Queening, which is random because my son and I were just talking about Queening the other day. Now, personally, I always felt like Queening was this powdery, clean, laundry-like scent that was best suited for women, and this one's along those lines. But really, when I think about the difference between Queening and Queen of the Chest, I feel like the differences are a bit more recognizable, especially when compared to Imagine and Imagination. Now, I had my wife try them both out, and she thought Queen of the Chest was a little bit more smoother. But when she tried them side by side, she said that she felt like the Queen of the Chest didn't stand out as much, which I totally get because to me, Queen of the Chest kind of lacks a little bit of that fruitiness that you would find in a Queening, but other than that, it's really good. And as a result, it continues to sell out. So, what do I know?
Wait a minute! Who are you?
Well, what I do know is that Dua just restocked both of these fragrances along with a ton of other bestsellers. Which means if you've been thinking about picking up a Dua fragrance, then this is your sign. Right now, for Black Friday, they're doing 38% off the entire site. Yep, that means their best affordable dupes and their original creations just got that much more affordable. Just use code DUA38 or VDL38 to stack up your collection for low. I'm talking clones of your favorite niche bangers, signature scents, and hybrid blends. All of it's on sale. But here's where it gets even better. Dua just dropped 2 brand new fragrances and they are bangers. And I'm talking about original releases. But we'll get to that in just a moment. So yeah, just remember that 38% won't last forever, so get it while the getting's good. Now look, I know you're a gambler, man, but don't miss out. And that brings us to our next fragrance, which happens to be Casino Elixir. And if you're not familiar with this is one of their hybrid scents where they take one great fragrance and another great fragrance and boom, mash them up into something special. And this one in particular smells like you belong in the high roller section at your local casino. I mean, no, really, it just smells like money. If you wanted to recreate this fragrance and pick up the 2 scents that make this, it would cost you over $1,000. Of course, I'm talking retail. Casino Elixir is this top-notch blend that really just embodies the essence of 2 standout fragrances. On one side, we got Creed Aventus, and on the other, we got Baccarat Rouge 540, but this one's the Extrait de Parfum. See, in this, you get that sweet, burnt sugar airiness from the Baccarat Rouge 540, and it kind of feels like this caramelized amber that just sits on top of your skin. But then it's immediately chased by that bold, smoky pineapple that comes in from the Aventus. It's sweet, it's sharp, and then suddenly there's this rich cedar and saffron in the base. This is a fragrance for the guys out there that are reserved, calculated, and meticulous. this. It kind of smells like you have cruel intentions. So it may be a little too much to wear on your first date. But if that's what you're going after, then go off, my guy. Go off. So earlier, I promised you 2 new fragrances from Dior, and I'm about to put you on game. So listen up, grab your pen and your pad. So this is spiced vanilla milk, and it smells like you just stepped into the kitchen mid-chaos. Think like the bakery on Is It Cake. Not the cute TikTok version, but the real one when things are going down. Now, in the air, this one comes off as warm cinnamon, this bubbling caramel on the stove, and that cold splash of milk that my son likely forgot to put back in the fridge. This one is cozy, but it's not soft, and you put your nose into it, it's got a bit of bite. Now, the first thing I smell on this fragrance is this swirl of cinnamon, but there's also some creamy milk here. And really, that combination kind of reminds me of when you warm up a mug between your hands on like this cold day. I mean, just picture it. You're drinking your coffee or your tea before the family wakes up and the day really begins to get underway. Everything still feels a bit quiet, but don't get too comfortable because then that caramel comes in. And in this, it's that kind of sweetness that just clings to your fingers after you touch something. Now, the part I didn't expect about this fragrance is exactly what comes next. In wearing this fragrance, it just feels like this cool but warm marshmallow note just shines through. It feels fluffy but slightly toasted, almost like you just brushed it through a flame a little too closely. But it was quick though. And then there's also some honey and tonka bean here that just kind of pulls it all together. But just when you thought it couldn't get better, in comes some praline. Now the praline here comes off as nutty and smooth, but it also keeps the fragrance grounded so it never comes off as a little bit too syrupy. So if you're the type of person that loves to smell edible, but not like you've been sitting in a bakery shop glass display, this would be a solid place to turn to. Spiced vanilla milk is exactly what the name promises, but deeper, richer, and a little bit more grown up than you might expect. So this next fragrance is called Nostalgic Vanille Custard. You're a custard, cuz. And the first spray of this fragrance really hit me with this wave of warmth that felt familiar. It's not playful, it's not sugary. It's more like you stepped into a room that's been warmed by this fireplace for hours. The air is a bit thicker, the room just feels a little bit more comforting, and it's almost like you just feel that essence on your skin. The opening here is this soft dusting of powdered sugar and this warm coconut steamed milk just kind of rising off it. There's sweetness here, of course, but this one here just kind of feels a little bit more controlled than what you thought it might be. The vanilla and custard settles in here, but it doesn't feel uber dessert-like. It's smooth, it's slow and warm. It's the kind of vanilla that feels like you might have over poured some heavy whipping cream over some wood for whatever reason. Now, when I first saw the name, I thought this would be uber feminine, but it's not. There's an almond note here that kind of gives it this masculine weight. And then the sandalwood shows up, and it just gives this fragrance that extra oomph and backbone. As it dries down, that vanilla bean pod just kind of adds to that toasted quality. Warm and dark and just a little resinous. Really, in my time of wearing this fragrance, I would say it's a gourmand fragrance that men would enjoy, especially if they don't want to come off as smelling a little too feminine. And personally, what I think helps with that is what I find or think to be in here is like a slight little dash or pop of vodka. And 1 or 2 shots too many, then it's going down. All right, and that's what I got for Nostalgic Vanille Custard. If you want that pulled in, lean closer, what is that kind of reaction? Then this is it. And again, since this is a Black Friday special, don't play around with it. It's live, it's limited, and once it's gone, it's gone. So what I would do is grab it while it's still up. And again, get 38% off using code DUA38 or BDL38 at theduabrand.com. Oh, and before you go, you wanna click on this one here? I think you should.